It's the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast with your hosts, the Wolf and Action Jackson, who are keeping rock alive by talking classic rock, hard rock, progressive rock, heavy metal, 80s music, early MTV, UK vs. US chart success, and much more. This is the home of classic album and live concert reviews and your place for interviews with artists and legends. You're rocking with the Wolf. Out there, rock and rollers. Welcome to episode number 277 of the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast. Brought to you by me, your host, Mac B. the Wolf, and I will be joined, as always, by my partner in crime from the East Coast of the USA, Mr. Gary Action Jackson. We've been having a lot of fun here on The Wolf lately. I hope you've been tuning in. If not, you've missed out on some great stuff. We had a great run recently where we talked to Jay Schellen, the drummer of Yes. And we talked to Brian Slagle, the founder and CEO of Metal Blade Records, about his first Iron Maiden show. And we talked to drumming legend, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Stuart Copeland, about the Police, about his Police Deranged for Orchestra tour, his speaking tour, Have I Said Too Much? Last week, we went over Van Halen's 5150 as it's getting ready to turn 40. But this week, we go back 50 years to 1976 and discuss maybe the most important album in the history of one of our very favorite bands, the first and only band that Jackson and I ever camped out for tickets to, and that's Rush. In 1976, they put together their prog epic 2112. And it was a record that almost did not get made. Because after Caress of Steel, which we discussed last year on this show, the record company was not very happy. They didn't have singles. That album didn't sell. The tour didn't go well. It's called the Down the Tubes tour because nobody was showing up to see them play. So the record company basically thought, hey, you guys have got to give us some hits. You got to fall in line, make us another Canadian Led Zeppelin sounding record like your first one. Forget all this crazy, proggy, whole side of an album song stuff and just make something good that we can sell, okay? Now, most bands would kowtow to that and say, okay, yeah, we want to keep doing this. We want to make something that will sell. We want to keep touring and making money as a band. So, well, we'll do that, okay? Fine, we'll do that. They said no. We like the direction we've been going. We like these stretched out, proggy themes that have different movements and different time signatures and tell a complete story in different parts. So they decided we'll go down swinging as ourselves versus trying to be something else. And the whole first side of 2112 is the song 2112. Based on a book by Ayn Rand, Anthem, where you're in a futuristic society after a global war. They were kind of forced to join the Space Federation, and all individuality and creativity has been squashed. But then eventually some kid finds a guitar, takes it to the priests who run the show, but serve the computer that has all the answers. I know a lot of people have already been lost based on this, and I'm sure the record company felt the same way. We wanted 2.5, 3-minute pop songs, and you give us 20 minutes of this? Are you kidding me? Well, here's the thing. It worked. Rush had already developed a pretty good reputation as a live band. They toured with everybody, 200 shows a year in the early to mid 70s. And so when they took this out on the road, people actually gravitated toward it. And while you couldn't play necessarily the whole thing on the radio, the snippet you could play got people's attention. Rush had never cracked the top 100 in America, and this was the first one. It went to 61. It also eventually went 3 times platinum, which is amazing for a band who hadn't even scratched gold in America yet. It really changed their fortunes, and is why we now know Rush as the experimental and progressive kings that were always monkeying with their sound and doing something new, because after this, they never let anybody at the record company tell them what to do. And we're going to get into it, but first we do have a little bit of business to take care of. We'd love to mention we are proud members of the Pantheon Podcast family, a network of over 100 different shows. You can learn more at pantheonpodcast.com or follow on socials at Pantheon Pods. And we also love giving a shout out to our intergalactic sponsor, rarevinyl.com, who, yes, is based in the UK, folks, but they ship all over the world. They procure collections from all over the world, and they've got amazing first editions, first prints, hard to find singles, imports, picture discs, box sets, old magazines, posters, tour books, whatever you're looking for, rarevinyl.com has it. And yes, they've got a lot of great Rush stuff. And what they've given us is a little code, UGLY, UGLY, so that when you go to check out, you can save 10% off one entire order. Not just one item, but one entire order. So if you want an original 2112 print, you can find it there at rarevinyl.com. You can use the code UGLY, but you don't just have to use it on that. You use it on everything in your order. So go to rarevinyl.com, use the code UGLY, save 10%. Your record collection will thank you. Now back to Rush. I admit that I didn't get into 2112 till much later in life. I grew up on Moving Pictures and Permanent Waves and Signals. And then when I was in high school, Presto came out. It was a little more hard rocking. They kind of abandoned some of the keyboard stuff that they had gone to in the 80s. And then I saw them for the first time on Roll the Bones with Jackson, and then never missed a tour after that. And of course, on some of those tours, they eventually brought back 2112 into the set, and eventually even the whole thing. And then I gained an appreciation for, wow, this really is an amazing suite of music. It really showcases everyone in the band. And I got to say, Alex Lifeson really stands out. And I can't say that about his performance on all the 80s albums, many of which I really do love. But he is special. He brought something incredibly important to the band, and it really shines on this record. So let's do it. We're talking about 2112 by Rush as it turns 50 here on The Wolf. Jackson, have you ever thought about bands that maybe we never got to know because their first 2 or 3 albums were just kind of okay, and then the record company dropped them before they did something amazing, and we don't know those bands. They've kind of been lost in the ether. You ever think about stuff like that?
Never one time, no.
Never once?
Yeah, you wonder how it could have gone a different way. And there's so many things that it depends on. The band, the management, the company, the temperature of the buying public.
Yeah, the culture.
Yeah. Like, why didn't this? It just didn't resonate at that time. Like, it just never got a chance to take off.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of wonder, like, because there are people that say that, and I should really go and check into it more, but I've got other things to do.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, you should really listen to because man, if they just got a chance, they could have done this. Or somebody was telling me, I don't even remember the name, but it was some band down in Florida where they were like, they were a great band, they were a bar band, they just never got that push to go anywhere further than that. And I don't know whether it was the people they were dealing with, or sometimes it's maybe it's the band. The band just doesn't have what it takes to, we're gonna go all in and devote ourselves to this, not just on the weekends and when we have time.
Not just talented, you have this drive to go out and do everything. Because there's all sorts of, it's the same way in sports. There's plenty of people who have this incredible potential, and then they don't realize it because they don't work hard, or they sign one contract like, I made it, I'm rich, I don't have to do anything anymore, So, and some people just like, I just wanted to record a single or get an album out there, and it doesn't run up the charts, or you're not a millionaire overnight. You're like, well, I thought this was going to be different. Well, I guess I'll go do something else now, whatever.
Yeah. Or the label just drops you because you didn't perform like you were supposed to, and then you just don't get another one.
Or a new vice president comes in like, I don't get this band, forget them. Or, you lose your A&R person who did believe in you, and now you got someone who's like, this is jazzy, and I'm more into like gothy Cure stuff, so no, I don't like this one. You'd never know. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen that make you a big band or keep you from becoming a big band. And yes, a lot of it is about timing. Generally speaking, you have to work hard, and if not everyone's on the same page there, that can obviously kill you. But Rush didn't have a work ethic problem. They just had a people don't get it problem, and not everybody is playing it. They might have been doing fine in Cleveland, but the rest of the country, unless you went to see Ted Nugent or Kiss or Blue Oyster Cult live, you may not have seen Rush, and you probably never heard them either in 1975-76. And that could have been Rush had they not made 2112. There will be people who remember Rush like, who's this band under this old poster that says Kiss and Blue Oyster Cult and Rush? I don't know. There's some Canadian band. Canada's got all sorts of bands that we don't really know. They might have been good, they might not have been, but some of them don't come across the border. They come across the border once, like, it's scary down here, and then they go back and they never come back. But
have you been following that vintage Rock Pod deal? about he was doing one Canadian album every day for all of February?
Oh, no, Paul was doing that?
Yeah, and like I mean, there were a couple things. Yeah, I've heard of them before, but I'm like, I've never even heard of that band. Forget the
Hmm.
album. So yeah, you're right. There's a lot of stuff in Canada that we just never either get exposed to or never even really comes across the border. Who knows?
Right.
And for these guys, yeah, you'd figure, they made Caress of Steel, right?
Right.
That didn't go over so well. And
Nope.
famously, they named the tour the Down the Tubes tour.
Right.
So now you've got the record company saying, listen, boys, we love you. Everybody loves you here, which is always a lie. They
Right.
hate you.
They have no
They
idea who
want
you are.
they literally want to kick your ass out the door. But they believe in you and they want you to make this record. But here's what we need. We need radio friendly singles that we
That's
can
right.
sell. And they said, okay, except no, we're not doing that.
That's
We're
right.
going to double down and make this another one of these epic deals that not everybody's going to get.
That's basically right. Yes, you're exactly right. And we did the review of Caress of Steel last
Uh-huh.
fall. In fact, it was right after our interview with Hugh Syme,
Mm-hmm.
legendary rock album artist, whose first assignment with Rush was Caress of Steel many years ago. And we learned that, the first one was silver, and now it's kind of this sepia thing that the printer just decided on their own to do. But yeah, I mean, on Caress of Steel, there's a few songs. There's Bastille Day, I Think I'm Going Bald in Lakeside Park, which is kind of this lilting acoustic thing. Then there's the 12.5 minute Necromancer, broken up into 3 parts at the end of side 1. And side 2, the entire thing, is the Fountain of Lamneth, broken up into 6 different parts. This big, epic, proggy story kind of thing. Well, it didn't sell. It didn't have Working Man or Fly By Night on there, something that really caught the radio. Although Bastille Day, I think, is a pretty good snapshot of where they were musically. It didn't run up the charts. And, playing some of these longer things, especially if you're an opening act, may not get you where you want to go. But the thing is, this is September. Caress of Steel came out in September 24th, 1975. 2112 comes out in March of 76. So we're talking about 6 months later. It's not like, let's take a year and put you on the road and see how it goes. No, they go on the road. When they're opening act, they're not doing great. When they're a quote-unquote headlining act, they're playing clubs and there's 36 people there. They're going around the U.S. in a van and it's just nothing's happening. That's why they call it the Down the Tubes tour. Like, this isn't happening. So exactly what you say. The record company says, you got to give us hits. They're like, we're going to drop you, but Ray Daniels goes and convinces them their new stuff's great and you're going to love it. It's really awesome. They convince them basically to give them one more album. They fulfilled their 3 album obligation. They're like, we're going to drop them because they're not going in the right direction. He's like, no, they're great. They've got great new stuff. He didn't know that. He's just playing the role, right?
Right, exactly. You're going to love it, I swear. Nothing but hits.
We need you to do something commercial. They go back to the boys and they're like, no, we like where we're going. We think this science fiction proggy, one whole side of the album, that's who we are. And you got to give them credit because they basically stood up and said, let's do it our way. And if we fail, fine. They'll go work in the Autopod store. Getty and Alex go find another band, or Alex can go become, some kind of worker with his old man, something like that. But no, let's do what we want to do. Let's follow this. Let's do more Ayn Rand storytelling and crazy stuff. And if it doesn't work, fine, we'll go away. But the thing is, it kind of worked. Somehow, how did such a proggy album capture the imagination of rock fans? Besides the fact that it's just awesome, but you'd have to hear the whole thing. They're not playing the whole side on the radio. I mean, at least not much. I'm sure there were some stations that did it, or FM stations, but
Well, of course, because that's when you take a nap if you're the DJ.
Right.
Hey, here's 2112. I'll
Yes.
see you in 20. I'll see you in 22 minutes.
yeah, exactly.
Go out and have a smoke. Yeah, you got to figure that it's not built for radio play. It is built for album sales. And I wonder in 1976 when this thing came out, like if you looked at the gatefold, did it have any of this information? Like, how did you even know this was, because there's a story, there's a background to it, all of this, the way it goes through the different movements. did you have any idea, or was it just like, well, I mean, I like to listen to this, and I can kind of tell what's going on if I listen to it a couple of times,
Right.
but I don't know all the references. I don't know where this is coming from. Did they have a newsletter? I mean, yeah, I mean, I can go on the internet and look at all this stuff and have
Now, yeah.
thousands of reviews. Yeah, now, but to look at this thing. But I think what it comes down to is when you put it on, first of all, they give it to you right off the bat. This isn't buried at the end of the record.
That's
This
right.
is right off, and it sucks you in. I mean, just the drums and the beat, and you're like, yeah, this
Driving
is,
force of this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It starts off, it's not weird. It's not in any kind of weird time signature or anything like that. I mean, it's just full throttle right at the beginning. So even if you really don't get the story, you can still listen to it at the beginning and say, yeah, this rocks. These guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. There are a lot of there. I guess the Rush community is divided about once they start bringing in the keyboards and Alex kind of gets pushed back to a not a main role.
Right.
I can see why now they get pissed
I
because
know.
he is on fire in this record.
He's the
He
MVP of the record.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No doubt. Yeah, and I've listened to this album before. Of course I have, but I haven't studied it before.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of my big takeaways is that, Alex is wailing on this record. I'm not just talking about riffs, which are killer and awesome, but I'm talking about his solos. It's like, you just don't hear that a lot on all the stuff going forward. You hear bits and pieces of it, but this is a hard rock band. This is not a prog band. This is a hard rock band that's doing some prog stuff.
Yeah.
But it does feature the first Mellotron ever on a Rush album, and it's played by Hugh Syme. He mentioned when he was on that he got to play a little bit on Rush albums, and this is one of those instances. In addition to making the iconic pentagram and then the dude, trying to hold off the
Starman,
pentagram.
yeah.
Starman. Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly iconic in the Rush canon. When you see it, Rush fans know exactly what it is right away. And a lot of other non-Rush fans do too. Like, oh yeah, that's Rush. It's one of those Rush things. But it's the truth. And the band were ready. I mean, you got to give them credit. Hey guys, you can make a lot more money. Just give us a sappy ballad, or just give us something, that's 3 minutes and that they'll love on the radio. Just give us one of those and you'll make more money off sales. You'll get better touring spots. Let's do that. And Alex is like, what are we going to do? Are we going to try to make another mini Led Zeppelin record? Or are we going to do what we are going to do and continue forward? And whatever happens, happens. And so
Right.
we fully intended not to go down in flames, but we were prepared to do that if, in fact, it went nowhere. And it's bold. I mean, they were playing 200 nights a year, so they're already putting in the work. It's like, if all that work is for naught, okay, well, I'll go find something else to do.
Right. But to their credit, they basically, this is two different records. You've got the first side, which is the 2112 suite. And then you've got the second side, which is your singles. And the singles are all pretty short.
Right.
So they give you a really good mix of the two. And this is where I think that you lose definitely something not listening to it on a record. Because to me, like that's it. 2112 is the first side of the record. You would get done with it, then you would flip it over and listen to the rest of it. Now it just plays straight through. But I think that you lose a little bit not having that chore of flipping it over and saying, wow, that's done. If you don't flip it over, that's it. There's no more music.
That's right. It's like the curtain comes down on intermission. You got to get up,
Right.
and you got to flip it, and you got to do
Correct.
it. Yeah, absolutely. And Neil said, hey, man, we've been working towards something a little more ambitious on each of the previous two albums. Now we want to be the realization of all our hopes. That's 2112. And then after it catches fire, they just realized, you know what? We're taking full control of music. We're not getting any input from the record company. We're going to make the record and then we'll bring it to you and you can release it. But we don't want to hear anybody telling us what to do anymore. Well, that's pretty powerful.
And like you said, this could have been a horrendous mistake. Or not a mistake, but it could have just been a misfire. And then you would have been a footnote somewhere. Somebody would have said, we're going to look at the four records from a band called Rush that you've never heard of before. They were around in the 70s from out of Canada. But no, this to me was the real launching pad for the rest of this.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So how are they doing it? Well, they're on the road, right? And, so when they're in the dressing rooms or in hotel rooms or in the van in the last part of 1975, just touring around, trying to earn some money, Neil's writing lyrics. And then Geddy and Alex would write songs around the mood of what Neil was writing about. And I guess that's a little different from they used to just kind of get together, do their acoustic writing. Then they would move it to electric guitar, and then Neil could write something around that. So they kind of did a little bit different way. Like, all right, what is Neil writing? And then what can we write musically around that? Cool. And the overture, I guess, was the final piece to be written on the album.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is, I mean, it's kind of...
You think since that came first,
right?
Maybe you'd written it first.
Well, and also, I mean, there's pieces of it in other pieces of 2112. You just figured that was always there and they built around it. No.
Right.
Apparently not. Interesting.
And it's also interesting, too, the fact that the way that they approach this deal, you've got Geddy and Neil that are very like clinical when they play together. And then I guess Alex just sits there and just plays around. And they're like, well, hey, what is that? I don't know. Dun, dun, dun. He's just messing around and they're trying to pinpoint. The other thing that Neil was talking about is most drummers have to fit their drumming into the lyrics, right? But his thing was, since I write all the lyrics, I know what's going on going into it. So it's easier for him to put the drums together on these songs. And he said even when he would play live, he would have Geddy's vocals in his in-ear. That way he knew what he was doing, or if he was doing it correctly based on that.
Wow.
So it's just a whole different way of thinking of putting these songs together, just on another level.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're really smart, when you're all smart, and of course Neil's very, very smart, you can try those things.
Right.
The average garage band, like, dude, is this a C? Dun, dun, dun. I don't know.
Just keep the beat back there. Shut up.
Hi, this is Hugh Syme. You're listening to the Ugly American Werewolf in London podcast. And I'm absolutely privileged to be here talking with the Wolf and Action Jackson.
So before we get into the music, let's just tell the story. And if you put this in like a poster or you're talking about it on the radio one day, some people are like, wow, that's really cool. Some people are like, next. But it's set in the city of Megadon in the year 2112, after an intergalactic war 50 years before forced many of the planets to be ruled by the Solar Federation, which is what the red star on the cover was kind of all about, where individual and creativity are outlawed. Obviously, these are themes that they picked up from Ayn Rand. There's a novella, I think, called Anthem. Of course, they had a song called Anthem, but it's not on here. But a lot of that stuff is kind of taken from it. And obviously, Geddy's mother and I think both his parents were in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
They escaped. So this is an anti-totalitarian, anti-let big government sweep up and take you. But basically, all art and music is outlawed because that's individual and it's not for the good of all. And the population is controlled by priests who take orders from the giant banks of computers. They live in the temples of Syrinx. Okay, yeah, we've already lost millions of people, basically every woman on the planet. Okay, I get it. But it's just like any other science fiction tale. You have to have this suspension of disbelief and just understand the world that is created. Okay, it's 2112. There's a global war 50 years ago. These priests have all the information with computers. They control it all. Everyone else has to just fall in line like a dystopian Orwellian thing. Okay, that's all you really need to know. And then you start rocking. And there's no doubt that this is badass hard rock when you get going here, man. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, like I said, even if you don't understand the story or don't really buy into it, you could just listen to what they're playing and just rock out, because it's heavy duty. It's not weird. It's not all over the map. It's easy to listen to if you like hard rock. Even if you, and then, you go through it a couple times and you kind of get into the story and how it goes through. And, it's the story of this one guy who wants to break free. And you see the kind of the cycle of how this works. Somebody takes over in the world. And then you've got people that say, no, I'm not doing that. I found, they find a way to break through. They find a way to challenge the thinking in the government, and then the cycle continues again.
That's right. So let's jump in here.
Oh, right.
Because it broke the American Top 100. I think it went to number 61. It's the first of their albums to kind of crack that top 100 Billboard thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it went to number 12 or top 20 in Canada. But I mean, I don't know if Caress of Steel even made the top 200. I can't remember at the moment. But the others, Fly By Night and Rush, had done okay. But Caress of Steel was like, ugh, no. Nobody wanted that for the longest time. And, I even avoided listening to it for a long... No, it did get to 148, I'm sorry, but only 60 in Canada, Caress of Steel. They both eventually went gold in both, but it took a long time. Whereas this one, my guy, was 3 million US and double platinum in Canada.
So why did you stay away from Caress of Steel?
Well, because it had the reputation. It wasn't 2112 and it wasn't Fly By Night. It was kind of this thing in the middle that did not sell well and almost killed the band.
Right. And like you said, there isn't that big hit off of it where you're like, well, but I really like this song, so I'll listen to it. Yeah, it was kind of the in between, the stepchild that no one liked. And that's got to be tough too, because you get the first two records, you're building steam. You say, okay, now we've got this idea of this kind of a departure, but I think you're going to like it. No, you don't like it. Son of a bitch. Well, now what? And that's the tough part with a band like this, is there's so much good stuff.
Yeah.
If there's something that you're like, I'd rather listen to something else by the same band, that's the problem.
Yeah, you've got other options. That's for
right.
sure. And it was a transition album, Caress of Steel. It was between kind of Fly By Night and 2112, because Fly By Night was their first album with Neil. So they're kind of getting to know each other. How do we play together? How do we tour together? All that thing. They start working in his lyrics, realizing, wow, he's really smart. He can write some really great songs. And then we start to develop these concepts. I was wrong about Canada. It was actually went to number 5 in Canada. So top 10 in Canada is a big deal. And not only did Hugh Syme play the Mellotron on Tears, but he played the Odyssey synthesizer on 2112. And so that's giving it a fuller sound for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But let's jump into it, because you start off here with the overture.
Right.
Now, look, this is something they've played a lot over the years. This is big and bold. It's very confident, and it's very hard rocking. It's proggy, but it's triumphant. It's not like a bummer. And
correct.
Some of these signature riffs that show up later are great. And my note is, Alex is on fire. But they all are.
Right.
But like we were saying, I really feel like Alex is standing out here. They really are a Canadian Zeppelin, and it's mostly because of him.
Yeah. And like I said, I see why people would get mad or disappointed that his guitar work kind of gets pushed to the side in favor of some keyboard stuff. I understand you want to change it up, the musical tastes differ, but to hear him play on this record in particular is phenomenal. And then they're from Canada, and they've all got something wrong with them. They're just a little bit off. So you get to this, it picks up. It's this massive thing. And then you get to 408, and it goes, like, what is this?
Tchaikovsky's 1812 in there.
Exactly. Yeah. But just as a tongue-in-cheek, put that in there. They're always a step ahead of you. And it's kind of like that. No, you think you know what's going to happen. You don't, because we're in control of the situation here.
Yes.
And then, he goes into the one line that is technically in the overture, and then we're off and running.
And the meek shall inherit the earth.
Correct.
Now, let's point out there are 7 bits to this 2112. The overture, Temples of Syrinx, Discovery, Presentation, Oracle, The Dream, Soliloquy, and Grand Finale. They're kind of broken up that way, and we can read all the different lyrics and pieces of it. Here's the only thing I think they missed on here. The length of this is 20 minutes and 34 seconds. Couldn't you come up with another 38 seconds and make it 2112 exactly? I feel like they missed an opportunity there.
Right? Especially in this catalog of stuff. I think people would have lost their minds, you're right, if they and it wouldn't have been that hard. It wasn't like it
No.
was 15 to go 2112, but yeah, exactly that amount. But I mean, who knows too? This was in a day before we had CD counters. So I mean, did you really know how long it was when you were doing it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really think about that till it's time to track the album, and obviously, this is all going to be one side. But the last album was like 44 minutes and pretty thick and full and had two big suites on it. This is a little shorter. It's 38:42. It's not quite 39 minutes. And the first side is a lot longer than the second. I mean, the first side is about 20 and a half minutes. I guess it's not a whole lot longer, but just none of the 5 songs on the second side are 4 minutes, except for Something for Nothing. It kind of just gets there at the very end, but it's a little longer on the first side, that's for sure. But the first one, Overture, you have to love. And then often in concert, they would go straight into the Temples of Syrinx. Mm-hmm. Now, Geddy's voice is impossibly high on this. And while this is a classic Rush song and I've seen him do it live and everyone always loves it, I get why some people didn't like Rush back then because of Geddy's voice, because it's ridiculously high sometimes.
It's very high. It's very shrill. And yeah, I definitely know people that say they will not listen to Rush because of Geddy's voice. But you've got this over the top science fiction deal, this giant lead up, this crashing, thundering deal, and then his voice comes in. I think it fits in perfectly. Yeah, it's super high, but yeah, it's like he's screaming at you. Mm-hmm. But it's the government entity telling you this is what's happening.
Right.
You know, we've taken care of everything. The words you hear, the songs you sing, we are in control of this. You have no free thought. We've got all of this. And it's like, this is like a political speech almost.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely. We are the priests of the temples of Syrinx. Our great computers fill the hallowed halls. All the gifts of life are held within our walls. Look around all this world. We've made equality our stock and trade. Come and join the brotherhood of man. Oh, what a nice, contented world. Let the banners be unfurled. Hold the red star proudly high in hand.
We are the priests of the temples of Syrinx. All the gifts of life are held within our walls.
Because the people in control never want to give it up to the people who aren't.
Right.
But
see, we're making a better life for you.
yes,
That's the deal. You don't have to think. We've got this taken care of. Don't worry about it.
to each according to his needs, from each according to his abilities. Oh, wait, that's communism.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you can rule a billion, trillion, jillion people. Here's the thing. I have a Rush bias. When I hear Rush, I'm like, it's just Rush. It's its own category. And generally speaking, I like it. Mm-hmm. But that keeps me from hearing the 70s heavy rock as they are their own thing. But they were a lot like Led Zeppelin and Rainbowish at this time. I'm listening to this like they're making this cool music, and I just kind of hear them as Rush. But kind of take them out of Rush and what they would become later and just listen to the music. And I think it does fit in. I mean, in 76, Rainbow were around. In 76, Zeppelin were making presents, and so they fit into that world. They may not have been as successful, but that's the kind of music they're making.
I think so. I mean, I think if you like that style of music, you would definitely like at least the musical part of this. And if you can get past the nerdy part,
right,
I think you're good. But I think if you embrace the nerdy part, it's even better, because then you can kind of make up your own interpretations of what they're saying, and it's almost like you're in a different plane. Like, you guys like Led Zeppelin, but that's not really that deep. Listen to this. There's a lot going on here. They're telling you about, like you said, this is basically communism.
Right.
Even though I guess at some point in time they were accused of being pro-communism, and then Geddy got all pissed off because it's like, no. It's exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
Screw all you people.
Parents from the Holocaust, go
Correct.
fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Basically. So then they move into part 3, Discovery.
Yeah.
And this is where in the story the kid finds a guitar like in a cave, and he starts to play it. and it's bringing some creativity and humanity back. And he's like, wow, this is really great. And he's showing that he has the power. And now they slow it down a little bit for this, right?
Right.
I thought it was flute. I didn't see any flute notes, so maybe that's Hugh on the synthesizer making that flute-ish noise.
That's what I think, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, there's something else going on there. I don't see anybody else credited other than the Mellotron or keyboard or something. So that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I am a little, I mean, if we're going to go down the Rush rabbit hole here. So this guy finds this thing that he doesn't know what it is. He picks it up and he knows how to tune it. Come on. It would sound horrendous if you picked up a guitar that had just been sitting there, but it is cool because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like somebody finding this thing and just kind of messing with it. Hey, look, I can make this thing make sounds on my own.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Rock Dog. If you ever seen that animated movie, he just, it was banned from his village or whatever. Or he's supposed to be a warrior like his dad, and no, he likes music. And then he makes this thing. He's like, oh, I can make music. Oh, I'm really good at it. Like, he just got good like that overnight.
It doesn't work like that. Got to get in there and practice.
I know, but for the story. So,
Right.
he gets it, he likes it, and he's like, oh, this is great. I'll just show this to the powers that be.
They're gonna
they'll
love
get
it.
it,
Yeah.
It's like Al Gore's like, oh, hey, I see this global warming thing is coming. I'll just show it to the other senators, and they'll all be on board. They won't care what the oil companies have to say about anything. So he moves to presentation where he goes and shows it to him. So when he's singing his songs, it's soft and sweet acoustics. Like, see, isn't it great? I have this music. And then hard and heavy when they're shouting from the power seat, like, no, you can't do this. We've heard this before. It's stupid. It's a waste of time. Just destroying his dreams.
There's something here as strong as life. I know that it will reach you. Yes, we know it's nothing new. Just a waste of time. Not no need for ancient ways of where
I know it's most unusual to come before you, so I found an ancient miracle. I thought you should know. Listen to my music and hear what I can do. There's something here as strong as life. I know that it will reach you. And then here comes like the heavy riffing and Geddes screaming, yes, we know it's nothing new. It's just a waste of time. We have no need for ancient ways. The world is doing fine. Another toy that helped destroy the elder race of man. Forget about your silly whim. Doesn't fit the plan. And then he's back to, I can't believe you're saying these things. Just can't be true. Our world could use this beauty. And like, don't annoy us further. We have our work to do. Just think about the average, what use they have for you.
He does a really good job of playing the two parts. I mean, you really
Yeah.
get that it's a conversation, and he's using his voice. Yeah, the kind of the soft everyman who does this, and then the priests who are yelling at him. Yeah, shut up. Go get back to work.
So he goes back and he kind of has a dream, right? Part 5, Oracle the Dream. And he sees these beautiful cities in a world, and one where the Federation isn't crushing their individuality, and music really rules the day, And I stand atop a spiral stair, and Oracle confronts me there. He leads me light years away. I see the works of gifted hands that grace this strange and wondrous land, as the hand of a man arise with hungry mind and open eyes. So they can do that on this other place, but he kind of realizes he's never going to be there. He's stuck on Megadon,
Yeah.
where the priests kind of rule everything. So he starts to get bummed out. And that's what number 6, Soliloquy, is about, how he basically decides, well, I can no longer live under the control of the Federation, and there's no other place to go. So my last hope is that with my death, I may pass into the world of my dream and know peace at last. So it's basically a story of him taking his own life, and they don't really get into how he does it.
Yeah, they just tell you he just does that, and yeah, we're done.
I mean, it starts slow, and then it gets heavy, probably as his life is kind of coming to an end.
Yeah.
I can't tell you I love Geddes' voice on this one. It is just, it's wicked high. It fit better, I feel like, on Temples of Syrinx. On this one, yeah, I mean, again, I get why people don't want to hear Geddy Lee's stuff, but the heavy stuff from Alex is awesome on here. This is a real standout album, and this whole suite is very important to his legacy.
Yeah. I've got the note. It's slow, the solo, but it's powerful.
Powerful.
Yeah.
very communicative, right? You know, so my spirits are low in the depths of despair. My lifeblood spills over. Probably slit his wrist or something like it. But anyway, let's not get into that bit of it, because you move to number 7, the grand finale. Now, this is a little bit upbeat.
Yeah.
At first, anyway. It's kind of like the scene from a big musical send-off when they're like reprising some of the stuff that came along the way, and kind of hear some of the riffs again. And then there's kind of a big smash at the end, like it's building up and psh, 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 and everything, which is very Who-like to me. And we know how much Neil liked Keith Moon and Who. And so, you know, that was very Who to me. But the old, we have assumed control. We have assumed control. We have assumed control. It's heavy. It's dystopian. But live, it's pretty fun, actually. I've seen him do it a couple of times.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
Okay, yeah, that's gotta be pretty cool. And I can only imagine what the crowd thinks, too. Oh, my God, we're going to hear the whole thing in its entirety, freaking out. No women, but that's fine.
Yeah. Usually it's like 1, 2, and 7 is what they would play, or they play 1 and 2, and then, you know, something like that. I can't remember now which one it was because I've seen them 12 times, but yeah, at some point they played it all. Yeah. And it was awesome and all that. But to see the whole thing as a suite, to read all the lyrics as one big long story. I don't know how old you were when you first heard it, but to be able to come back, you know, as a more mature, I won't say mature, but more mature person, to understand, and I've heard more science fiction stories, and I've heard more dystopian stories, and I get it. I might not have gotten it when I was 12, but I get it now. And it's a hell of a, you know, they've made comic books about it. Mm-hmm. They could make a movie about this. I think they probably have to change the ending somehow, or, you know, this could be book 1, and then, you know, book 2, there's got to be some kind of bigger conflict. But yeah, I mean, I feel like they've captured a lot of people's imagination of this. They have some killer rockin' music that's unbelievable, really, still to this day. And it's obviously a big signature of theirs. It's a triumph, but it still could have been ignored because, again, this isn't going to be on Dick Clark's countdown. This is something you would have had to have the album. Somebody must have had it for you to hear it.
Right. And I think not only have it, but just say, no, you got to listen to this. You got to just give it a chance. Just sit here and listen to the whole thing. Just kind of zone out a little bit because it's going to take you a minute. And yeah, Dick Clark was not going to happen for a couple reasons. Have you seen these guys and have you heard them talk? Like they're weirdos, but they know that and they love it, but they're not like, hey, you know, we're excited about our new record, 2112. You're going to love. No, they're just there to play. And if you want to get into a thoughtful conversation of why they wrote it, yeah. But like the real big splashy, give me 25 hours and I'll play catch up. That's not Rush. No. It's a long conversation about, you know, how they put it together, who they loved, how they thought about doing this. It blows my mind because on paper, this should not work at all. This should not have been a big hit.
Right.
But yet there's something about it that just grabs people. And once you give it a chance, it's even better. And I think you're right. Coming back to this as kind of an older person, you can appreciate it more and see. To me, this is Rush right here. Like if you say you're a Rush fan, this is the record. Yep. Everything else kind of spurs off from here.
I kind of agree with it. Yeah, there was before 2112 and there was after 2112. There was kind of after Moving Pictures. But yeah, I mean, 2112 was the game changer. Now you said, have you seen these guys? Have you seen their pictures on the back of the album wearing like white kimonos? Star Wars hadn't come out yet, so you can't say, well, they're dressing like Luke Skywalker, which they kind of were, but
it's not good. Yeah, the white silk robes. Yeah, no. And then I think I don't have the picture in front of me, but I think if I remember correctly, Lifeson he's experimenting with the Dutch boy haircut. And I think Neil's got the 70s stash.
He's got the stash. He's in the middle. Alex is kind of parted in the middle. It's very long.
Oh, he hasn't gone there yet.
He hasn't gone there yet. He's kind of got a black sash around his white robe top. Getty is kind of standing a little bit behind Neil. Neil's he was a little bit bigger than those two guys, but yeah, and then, you know, there's in the middle of it, in the fold out, gatefold, they call it, Alex is wearing some kind of hat, like a fedora. Getty's kind of holding his hand. There's the 3 pictures above the Starman logo. And then below it, there is like a computer board there and kind of showing that this is who's ruling us right now. It's this computer. This is who's in charge. And it's the man fighting against The System. It's heavy duty stuff. I mean, versus Hot Rods and Chicks, whatever, Fall Cat.
This
or
is
whatever
this
was,
is definitely not Hot Rods and Chicks. This is far away from that. I think Alex said something about perhaps having to explain to someone in his family about why certain parts of his anatomy were on display in this picture. Like perhaps maybe the trousers may have been a little too tight for that look. Yeah, you really wonder, they put these things on, they're like, we look cool as shit, baby. This is gonna be a great, and you look back on it now like, oh well, yeah.
I think they admitted to not knowing what to do fashion-wise.
Yeah.
It's just like, we do what? Oh, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. We're all doing it. Yeah, that's great.
That, that could be it too. You know what, boys? This is going to be great. You've got this outer space theme going. We're going to have you dress like that. I don't know. No. Trust me. And then you look at the picture and say, well, I don't know if I really like that. It's not like they wore these things all the time.
I know. I think it was the Test for Echo tour, 1996, that they did it in its entirety again.
Oh, okay.
That was the first, I think, it was their first tour where they did an evening with, they didn't have an opening act, because people were like, why are you bringing Candlebox? Nobody wants to see Candlebox, So,
right.
Like, okay, all right, well, then I guess we'll play between 2.5, 3 hours. What are we going to do? Well, we got this 20-minute song we could do. Yeah, all right, let's break that out.
Hi, this is Stuart Coben, and you're listening to your radio, or your box of some kind. It's tuned to the Ugly American Werewolf in London.
But then, yes, you flip the album over. Okay, so the big prog masterpiece is over. Now we got to get into some songs here. All right.
And these are all much shorter.
Well, and it's a little different because, at least some of them, as usual, the music is by Lee and Lifeson. The lyrics are by Neil. That's the whole suite of 2112. And some of that's the same on side too, but some of it isn't. And as they went further, that really wasn't the case anymore. As they went further down their career, it was always music by Lee and Lifeson.
I was going to say, so you wonder on this one, you're talking about Lessons and then Tears are the two that are written. They're solo rights by Lifeson and Lee. Are these older songs that they brought back? I mean, you'd think if this formula was working, and obviously Neil has much more heavy-duty lyrics than we can think of.
Right.
Why not just let him do everything? That's what this kind of seems like to me. Like we've got these songs. Yeah, I've been messing with this for a while. Let's put it on the record.
Well, from what I understood from reading some research was that when Lifeson writes a song, it doesn't happen much, that he just does it on his own. But what happens is it comes to him and then he kind of furiously puts it together. It kind of comes all at once, kind of thing. And so that's, I think, what happened with Lessons here.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure about Tears, but the first one is Passage to Bangkok. Now, I got to know this song because it was the only song from Exit Stage Left that was included on Chronicle, the double disc that came out in the late 80s, early 90s. And the reason that it was included was because it was not put on the original CD version of Exit Stage Left.
Because that's who was it? One of those cartoon characters would always say that when something got messed up. Ooh,
Yeah, it was one of the Hanna-Barbera guys.
Yeah. Snaggletooth or whoever.
Whoever it was, yeah.
Yeah.
So because it was not on the CD version of Exit Stage Left, they had to cut it by one song. They decided to cut this for whatever reason. Then they put it into Chronicle. And then eventually we all had to get Exit Stage Left. But Chronicle was a great introduction to Rush. Doesn't give you everything, but it gives you a great taste of them. And so I used to listen to this and I'm figuring, okay, well, this is a fun travel song. And it's got that
Right.
da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, which is very Asian. I'm like, oh, that may be outdated. That might not be.
I think, well, I mean, you can tell when what is Exit Stage Left? 81, I think, when they did that. They toned that way down. You have that beat, but it's not the traditional version that you hear on the record.
Okay, but here's the thing. So I'm like, okay, that might not be right. At the time, I had no idea. And apparently Kashmir inspired Passage to Bangkok. I didn't know that.
Okay.
But it was describing drug tourism, like cannabis tourism, because they don't say it, but,
Well,
So talk about Colombia and
yeah.
Jamaica and Mexico and Morocco and Thailand. Golden Acapulco Nights, which is a reference to
Right.
Acapulco Gold. Smoke of Rings, pipe dreams, pass along their yield, various fragrances, all the places you could go. It's like, like Alex said, this piece is a fun little journey to all the good places you go to have a puff.
A golden Acapulco nights, then Morocco and the East. Fly by morning light, we're on the train to Bangkok. Aboard the Thailand Express, we'll hit the stops along the way. We only stop on the bay.
And I do like when they play it live. He always gives the, like he's gonna smoke and then, don't look at me, throw it away. Yeah, it's a magical adventure. It's of all of the great places for weed, and yeah, what is it? The fragrance of Afghanistan rewards a long day's toil. Yeah, that's what it is. We're just going all over the place. We only stop for the best.
We only stop for that. We're on the train to Bangkok.
Bum, 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 bum.
Aboard the Thailand
So do
Express.
you like? Okay, so let's go back to this. Do you like this version or do you like the live version better?
I like this one.
Yeah.
I like this one. And the thing is, then when you put in that little Asian, dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
it's more tongue in cheek. It's more like you're stoned and this is what you're hearing. It's not super clear. It's almost kind of a off beat or off tone. It's kind of like you're screwing it up because you're a little loopy here. But yeah, they mention all these places. Pulling into Kathmandu, smoke rings fill the air. Perfumed by Nepal night, the express gets you there. So it's like if you're just running around to everywhere, sweet Jamaican pipe dreams, golden Acapulco nights, then Morocco in the east, fly by morning light. You're just running around getting high everywhere.
Correct. I like the callback, fly by morning light. Okay, we calling back the
Fly by night.
fly by night, right. But then again, Alex just rips into the solo. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. I don't think there's a bass part there. I think it's two guitars.
Well, it kind of sounds like it. But...
Yeah, and it's just really cool. It sounds different, and he's just wailing on this thing.
Well, okay, during that part when he's doing that, but no, Getty plays bass awfully well when he's singing. If
Yeah.
you listen to when he's singing,
Yeah.
he's doing some really cool stuff. About
Oh yeah,
that.
yeah. It's in the solo. It's two guitars.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's more fun. I never realized it was a drug song because I didn't just jump into all the lyrics. I just kind of thought it was a travel song.
Yeah.
But no, it's about scoring weed around the world. And really, I think that's as heavy as they ever got. I'm not going to say they didn't try anything else, but they liked the weed. I think it helped them to explore their minds. And then eventually, I think they kind of phased some of that out. But yeah, Getty would say stuff like, when we did Hemispheres, we must have been smoking a lot of pot. It certainly sounds like we were, So there's some of that going on. But next you go to the Twilight Zone.
Okay.
Okay, this was written late, maybe not as late as Overture, but it was written late when they realized they needed one more song for side 2. And Neil said it was written and recorded in a day.
Okay.
And I didn't know this when we were younger, but after I found it, I kind of like it. It's a little different. It's mellow and a little ominous. Obviously, it, relates to the show, The Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And they dedicated to the memory of Rod Serling.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was based on 2 episodes. Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up, which is
Correct.
the first verse, and Stop Over in a Quiet Town, which is the second verse. It was released as a single in June of 76. B-side was Lessons, because they have to have some kind of single. And yeah, it didn't really chart anywhere. I never heard it on the radio. I mean, maybe later days somewhere, but I think it's more of a streaming thing. And yeah, I really like this one. Every once in a while, I want to listen to this, and I can't really tell you why. I dig it. I just like it.
This is a weird song. This is a very strange song because it changes tempo a couple of different times. Like it kind of starts off bum 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 bum, and then it goes into like a swing, kind of boom 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 boom. Pleasant faced man steps up to greet you. Then it gets weird when he goes into the na 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 na. You have entered the Twilight Zone. So it changes a couple of different times. but it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are two different. I guess they were the real Martian Please Stand Up
Yeah.
is a big fan favorite from the Twilight Zone. Stopover, I don't know if that's as big. That's kind of it's a deal where these two people wake up in a town. They have no idea how they got there. There's nobody else there. Then it turns out, oh, by the way, which I think a lot of Twilight Zones were, there's aliens involved and they're now a child's toy. It's a girl in the episode. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched a 60-year-old show, but whatever.
Right. But whatever.
Yeah. But the Martian one's actually pretty good because it all takes place in a diner and they think there's a Martian and they don't
Right.
know who it is.
State troopers here report about the
Yeah.
UFO. They come to the diner. They start saying, well, are you the alien? Well, no, I've been here for 30 years. Or, no, these two couples know each other, so I think
Yeah.
they're okay, kind of thing. And eventually,
Well, there's a double twist ending because you figure out who the Martian is, and then you figure out the guy behind the counter, the guy with the third eye, is from Venus. And the Martians were going to take over, but actually the Venusians
They're
are the
already
ones
here.
who are in charge. So screw those Martians. Yeah, it's the guy takes the cap off and he's got an eye in the middle, and it's just they tried their hardest in 1960, whatever it was, but it just looks silly. But it's
Right.
a big.
the special effects were not that special.
They were not. Sorry.
You have entered the twilight zone. Beyond this world, strange things are known. Use the key, unlock the door. See what your fate might have in store. Come explore your dreams' creation. Enter this world of imagination.
Yeah, and the other one, I didn't really know at all.
But it tracks. I mean, if you watch it, like they're telling you what's happening in this episode. I would imagine that if they're fans of science fiction, they must have loved the Twilight Zone. It was a cool deal.
It was groundbreaking back in
yeah.
its day, for sure.
I always
yeah.
just saw it on the New Year's Day marathons. They'd always play those, and it was cool to watch. And sometimes some of them were dumb, but some of them were like, "Ooh, that's a little heavy duty." But it was cool because I guess you just never knew what you were going to get. You just had to sit there and watch it.
Yeah, I didn't really watch many of them, and the opening sequence was a little scary sometimes to a little kid. It was certainly ominous. I feel like the only one I really remember is that like the guy, all he wanted to do was read his books, and then can't remember exactly what happened, but like eventually everybody else disappeared, and now he has time to read. But then he broke his glasses, so now he can't see. He's like,
so that's
"Why?"
and it's that's what's his name too, Mickey Burgess Meredith.
Oh, okay.
No, Mick, read that book. But yeah, that's always what it was. Like, yeah, there's always a twist ending that you didn't see coming, and yes, and I think that's what you were waiting for too. Ooh, what's going to happen this time that you don't know about?
You wake up in a lost, empty town, wondering why no one else is around. Look up to see a giant boy. You've just become his brand new toy. No escape, no place to hide. Here's where time and space collide. You have entered the twilight zone.
Stop. That's scary. Don't say that.
It's kind of a cool song. Every once in a while I want to listen to it. And the thing is, I'll listen to it like 2 or 3 times, and then I won't listen to it for like a year or something like that. But see, Getty's voice is mellow.
Yeah.
And it's fine. The whole song is fairly mellow. It has to be. It's the Twilight Zone, So I could see them playing this live, but not in a long time now. I like it. It's a little different from what they were doing on the first side, but I do like it.
Yeah, no, and it's a cool change up. And again, it's only 3 minutes and 16 seconds, so they're giving them to you rapid fire now. But you're talking about playing it live. They've got so much material. How do you? I was thinking about that. They just announced they hired a keyboard player, and they're going through.
Lauren Gold, yeah.
Yeah. How are you going to put this set together? I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, obviously there's not a new record, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could go 1,000 different ways on this thing. How do you pick?
I can't wait to find out.
I know, right? But how do you pick which ones you're going to do? I mean, you're going to have, no matter what you do, oh, how come you didn't play, or why'd you play this one? Whatever. Shut up.
Right. So, and they'll probably bring out some that they haven't done in a while, which I think
that's what I'm
cool.
hoping for. I'm hoping it's not a straight like greatest hits package.
I doubt it will be. I mean, there's some that they kind of have to play, but they're going to do 2.5 hours because they're not going to have an opening act, to my understanding. So they'll do a set, they'll take a break. Getty can check his fantasy baseball scores. And then they come back and do another hour and a half or something like that. All right, let's get to lessons.
Okay.
This is the one written all by Alex, all the music and all the lyrics. Acoustic with the bass and the drums building beneath it as we get started. The acoustic is kind of steady, and then the bass and drums kind of come up in the mix. Now, Geddy's voice as an instrument is strong here, I feel like. But the lyrics are just about people not listening to you, not believing in what you have to say. It's kind of it kind of fits in with the system doesn't listen to me kind of thing, but the lyrics are not Neil Peart lyrics. I mean, they just kind of aren't.
So that's where you expose the real kind of deficiency here. You've got somebody who can write really heavy duty, really thoughtful lyrics. And yeah, they get to the point where they're just like, you know what, dude, just do it all. Yeah, you can see this is not as strong lyrically as some of the other songs. I mean, it works. It's a fine song, but when you get used to heavy duty stuff, this is like, oh, okay. And I'm going to probably say the same about the next song, but that's, it's just, this is kind of weird because or interesting because you get used to that music by, lyrics by, and this is just a different deal. This is a licensed solo effort.
Yeah, it just feels different.
Yeah.
When I teach what I've been taught, and I've been taught, we've told you before, but you didn't hear us then, so you still question why. No, you didn't listen again. You didn't listen again.
Sweet memories flashing very quickly by, reminding me and giving me a reason why. I know that my goal is more than a thought. I'll be there where I teach what I've been taught. We've told you before, but you didn't hear us then. So you still question why? No, you didn't listen again. You didn't listen again. And it's basically kind of the same thing twice. Since, it's fine. Here's the thing. His solo at the end, this is long, and it continues a nice run of strong playing by Alex on this record. But I wouldn't want him here and play this live. I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, it's just unfortunately it's not that great of a track. Like it's okay, but I'd rather listen to other stuff.
Yeah, and just like the next song, Tears, written all by Geddy, it's a romantic ballad, sure, and it's the first with the mellotron, which Hugh plays here. It's acoustic to start, but it's just sad, and it kind of made me wonder if it was about his mom or something like that. I mean, it could just be Tears, being away from your woman, being out on the road, being on the Down the Tubes tour, and thinking, geez, I'm away from my woman and I'm not providing a better life for her right now.
This sucks. It's cool, though, because he does sing in a different manner than you're used to. So that's kind of a cool thing to hear him stretch out or change it up vocally. I was excited because in doing research for this, Alice in Chains covered this. I was like, really? Why have I never heard this before? Well, it wasn't with Lane Staley. Sorry. It was after that. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, other guy, but I don't care.
But I mean, a lifetime of questions, tears on your cheek. I tasted the answers and my body was weak. For you, the truth. What would touch me deeper? Tears that fall from eyes that only cry? Would it touch you deeper than tears that fall from eyes that know why? Okay, I mean, that rhymes, but I mean...
Tears that fall from eyes that only cry. Would it touch you deeper than tears that fall from eyes
You know, is it really that good? I honestly, not really.
No.
I mean,
yeah.
The music isn't bad, but the lyrics aren't that great. Honestly, the song sounds like it's not a completely finished concept. But I do like the mellotron against, what the other three are doing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great. There's other stuff that you'd rather get to. And it's just...
It is the second to last song.
Right, I know, and I hate that because now I go and look, and I'm like, well, you know what that means. You know what, Geddy, we're going to put this one second to last. You're going to love it. Wait a minute.
Yeah, well, they could have flip-flopped Tears or Lessons, to be honest with you.
Yes, correct.
It doesn't really matter. But something for nothing. Let's finish off strong, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a song about free will and decision-making. I guess Neil was inspired by some graffiti that he saw on the way to perform at the Shrine in Los Angeles that read "Freedom Isn't Free."
Now, this is what makes me excited about music and doing this show and this whole deal of finding something like this and discovering why. That it's so all like you're just bebopping down the street. Somebody has spray painted "Freedom Isn't Free" on the side of a building. There's probably a lot of buildings with this or something like this, and it just catches you or catches Neil like freedom isn't. You know what? That's pretty deep. Yeah. And probably for the rest of the day, he was thinking about that. Freedom, you know, there's the cost of, and then it just starts the wheels in your head turning. Who knows? Maybe you've got something else you're working on and you kind of put the two things together. But just that moment of that, like, I like that. I'm going to use that somewhere. Yeah, this is a much better song.
Waiting for someone to come and turn your world around. Looking for an answer to the question you have found. Looking for an open door.
Much better song. Now, Geddy did write this music without Alex. This is a Lee music right, but Neil is back in charge of the lyrics, and that's part of why it's pretty darn good. As a lyrical tie-in with 2112, which kind of helps tie it in and kind of end up the record. Plus, you've got a little bit of those riffs. It's not exactly the same, but it's from the same suite.
Yeah.
It's got good bass against some staccato picking, and then it has those big riffs. And they do break this out once in a while. My only thing about it is it does kind of fade away instead of having like a real ending.
Yeah.
The 2112 had a real ending, and this kind of fades out. And I don't know if I want to call that a cop-out, but it's certainly better than the previous two songs. So I do like it, and I think it's a cool way to end the album. And it's got some good Neil lyrics on here if we kind of get into it. You don't get something for nothing. You can't have freedom for free. You won't get wise with the sleep still in your eyes, no matter what your dreams might be. What you own is your own kingdom. What you do is your own glory. What you love is your own power. What you live is your own story. So in your head is the answer. Let it guide you along. Let your heart be the anchor and the beat of your song. Very positive stuff.
Yeah,
You're in charge, right?
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, don't wait. Don't spend your life waiting around for something to happen. Go out and make it happen. Make your life what you want it to be. You're not going to get a handout from somebody, even though maybe at this point in time it was a little bit different in the United States, because the baby boomers were getting older and they didn't maybe have to work as hard as their parents did. So maybe that was part of the thinking, that you're getting something for nothing. I don't know. But I do like that idea of, nothing ever happens. Nothing ever works out for me. Then go and make it work. Shut up. Stop being a baby.
Waiting for the winds of change to sweep the clouds away. Waiting for the rainbow's end to cast its gold your way. Countless ways you pass the days. Don't wish for something. Don't hope for something. Don't just play the lottery. Make your own odds. Go do something that's going to not only make you happy, but help you achieve those things that you want. And I think that's a very positive thing. It's good to tell the kids, hey, don't just sit around waiting for your parents to give you money or somebody say, hey, this is where you're going to go find your way. No, you got to make it on your own. You got to stand up and say, this is what I want to do, and go do it. And if people stand against you, then it might be because you're onto something there and you just got to fight through it.
So is this kind of a callback to the whole, I know it doesn't really fit in with the 2112 theme, but is there part of that, of this, life is happening to you and don't let people don't let somebody else influence the outcome of your life, make it happen on your own. Don't accept things the way they are. I don't know. Maybe
it's about free will and owning your own decisions. And, in the 2112 suite, you're not allowed to make a whole lot of decisions. You're not allowed to be creative. You fall into the hole or into the job they tell you to do. Whereas, this one is like, go do your own thing. Don't just let them tell you what to do. Don't wait around hoping something good's going to happen. You want something good to happen? You go make it happen. You find a way to make it happen. So I think it kind of fits in with the whole thing. If you don't want that to happen, if you don't want the whole 2112 thing to happen, you don't want to be under totalitarian rule, then go out and do it for yourself. And well, obviously we see this today.
Unfortunately, yes.
You're going to have to go and do it yourself. If you let them take care of everything and you don't fight back, you're screwed. Well, you can interpret that all sorts of different ways with what's going on in the world today. This is not a political podcast. This is a rock music podcast. And Rush is one of our favorite bands, and they're one of the highest level thinking bands and also an incredibly talented musicians. You put all that together, I'm just glad and somewhat amazed that it turned into the hit that it did with 2112, because this went eventually triple platinum. I think it went gold fairly quickly and platinum relatively quickly.
Yeah, really without a hit single on here.
Without a single, that really went anywhere. So it's kind of amazing. And then they took this opportunity to be like, okay, we're not just like trying to scrape by now. We are a big selling band. So we can go to other places. We can go record in other places. And so the next album was All the World's a Stage, a title they lifted from Shakespeare. But
he won't mind.
Yeah, it was a good chance to give them some breathing rooms. Like, okay, everyone likes this. So let's not give them a greatest hits, but let's give them a taste of what this sounds like with all the other stuff that we've done over the years. Kind of a de facto greatest hits. Because on side 2 of All the World's a Stage, it was only 1 through, let's see, they did Overture, Temples of Syrinx, Presentation, Soliloquy, and Grand Finale. They did not do Discovery, and they did not do Oracle the Dream. And it's a little under 16 minutes. Did they do it all live and they cut that out for the live album? Probably, but maybe not. Maybe that's the way they played it. I guess I could look that up. And then that double album goes platinum. That gives them a little more space and a little more money. And now it's like, okay, now we can focus on really doing the best that we can possibly do on the next one. But it's still going to be proggy. It's still going to have these big stories and all that kind of fun stuff in it.
You know, I'm looking through the Wikipedia pages now, and I really like how they've gone through, not all of them, but some of these records, and Hugh Syme has gone back and done a reinterpretation of the cover. It's the same theme, but it's a different picture. I think that's kind of cool.
I totally agree.
Yeah, like I'm looking at Farewell to Kings, and originally it's like this bombed out deal, and there's the guy, the person sitting in the chair, you've seen it a million times, and then the redo is the Three Thrones for the
Three Boys.
For the Three Boys, correct. Yes. It's just really cool. Thank you, Hugh. You do an excellent job.
So between February 76 and June 77, they went to Europe for the first time, all across the States and Canada. They played over 140 shows.
Oh, my God.
But they did drop Discovery in Oracle the Dream just to make it tighter live. Discovery was brought back on Farewell to Kings and Hemispheres, and then they did the whole thing in Test for Echo tour. But yeah, it went gold in 77. So that's, a positive thing. But it wasn't until like 94, 95, they said, well, let's just see how it's done overall. They're like, whoa, triple platinum. The biggest selling album after Moving Pictures. Which is, I believe it's 5 times platinum.
I think you're right, because I was looking at that. I'm like, so what is the biggest? It's got to be Moving Pictures, and that is true.
So it just changed their fortunes. It changed their world, and eventually it changed our world too, because we get into Latter Day Rush, and then we kind of start working our way back to find, well, what's this gem? Well, that's a real crazy suite of songs, a whole big story. That's not good for the radio. I'm like, but it's got amazing playing on it. It's what made Rush Ruts. It's what gave them the ability to eventually do Moving Pictures. They kind of went through this more proggy stage with Hemispheres and Farewell to Kings, and then eventually to Permanent Waves, which I love, and is kind of a straddling between, we're going to do some radio-friendly songs, but we're still going to do these epic proggy long things before the world totally changed with Moving Pictures. But I can't wait now to see them this summer. Kind of wish maybe I could see them more than once, but the price and travel is prohibitive.
Well, that's prohibitive, because it's very expensive, and they, I think, are all sold out. I've been getting ads for Rush tickets, and it's all resales, and you thought they were expensive on the way in. They are ridiculous now. But I think that this is what it always kind of held me back from listening to Rush as a younger person, because I knew, like, once you got away from the Permanent Waves, Moving Pictures, once you got back, I'm like, I don't know if I've got time for a 20-minute song. Oh,
right.
My God. But if you let yourself get into it, I see now what the attraction is. I see how they put it all together and how it tells the story. But I think that was my big thing. Oh, it's about science fiction. Oh, I don't know. It's too much. It's too heavy duty.
Well, I also left it and Caress of Steel really so I would have something to discover later, because they always say, oh, this is the epic one. I'm like, well, if that's the epic one, I don't want to listen to that right now. You know,
Yeah.
I got to save that for a more epic time. And then, you know, Caress of Steel was more like they're working on becoming epic, but nobody really likes it. The cover's kind of messed up, no hits, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to be disappointed, because I liked Rush so much of the albums that I did have and listened to regularly, that I didn't want to be disappointed by something that was weird and didn't make sense. And so I left Caress of Steel a long time. 2112 I attacked earlier just because I heard it. I heard them play the whole thing on Test for Echo. I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty awesome. Maybe I should go ahead and explore that. I don't know. It just shows their diversity. It shows how smart they are. It shows how capable they are. And it also shows, I feel like Something for Nothing is also, although they probably didn't realize it at the time, they're like, don't let the record company just tell you what to do. Say, just play these pop hits and go out on the road. Know that you're doing something special. They might not get it, but record companies never do. They don't know anything about music. They just know what sells and is popular right now. They don't know what's coming. They have no idea. As soon as something's popular, they make as much of it as they can. They oversaturate it. They ruin it. And then something else rises against it. And like, oh, this is the thing now. So, you know, in the 70s, Big Prog, Zeppelin, Genesis, yes, all those big things. That's everything. Pink Floyd, and then punk comes around. It's a stick in the eye to that. Oh, punk is the greatest thing ever.
All this other stuff sucks.
Yeah, and then all the punks die, or they realize, hey, none of these guys can play. So then the New Romantics come in. Like, this is the thing. This is the thing you need. All the colors, all the outfits, lots of synthesizers, androgyny. That's what you need. So they plow it all in there. Then the hair metal bands come in. Oh, no, you need 2 guitars, long hair, from LA, jeans and leather. That's the only thing. So they oversaturate that. Then, oh, Nirvana, grunge, it's the whole thing. So that it's just a cycle where they don't know what to do. Then they see it, the kids break it out, and they're like, okay, let's just make it all that for a while. And they're chasing trends. Whereas Rush doesn't do that. They just go do what they want to do. And if you like it, great. And if you don't, that's okay too. We got enough people that do, and we believe in ourselves. And our fans are as curious to see what we come up with as we are. So that's part of why I love Rush.
Yeah, and it's funny you going through that whole deal. You know, all of those changes happen, and there are a lot of bands that just got thrown away or crushed, and Rush is just, they've always been there. They're always putting out records. They, you know, the 70s into the 80s into the 90s. I mean, they did change. Their sound changed along, but I mean, they never chased trends. They were going to put out what they were going to put out, and people still showed up because they knew they stayed true to what was going on in their heart at that time. And I do like that concept of, we're going to make a record that you don't know nothing about. We don't want any input from you. We don't want any, hey, you know what would be great? I don't care. Here it is. Either you like it or you don't, but this is what we want to do right now.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's why, after their drummer's been dead for 6 years, and they haven't made a new album in over a decade, people are spending thousands of dollars to go see them one more time in America and in South America and in Europe.
All they had to do was, well, I mean, are we doing this? Like, do you think this is a good idea? And everybody went, wait, what? And immediately stopped and said, this can't be real. And sure enough, it was. And it sold out in 8 seconds?
Oh, yeah.
The tour. And then it sold out again once they announced their the new dates that they were putting up. Yeah, people are insane for this. They can't wait. I'll never, it won't be the same without Neil. No, it won't be. It'll be different. This is a little bit of a different deal.
It's a
but
tribute.
if you can weather all the rest of this, I think you're going to be just fine.
They're going to gross like $250 million on this tour, or something like that. Maybe more. It's unbelievable. But I can't wait to see all the stuff that Hugh Syme puts up, as far as they're going to have a screen behind them, I'm sure, and the video and the animation or whatever. It's going to be unbelievable. Plus the 40th anniversary, a little late, but the 40th anniversary of Grace Under Pressure is coming out here imminently, and I can't wait.
But just get ready, though. Get ready, because the tribute stuff, that's going to hit hard.
Yeah, I know it is.
I
know it is. I'm ready for it, man. I can't wait. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Summer 2026. Yeah. Woo! 2112 is Rush really flexing their muscles, really taking everything they've learned from the first 3 records, from the first 3 tours, from getting to know Neil better, both as a rhythmist and as a songwriter, a lyricist, and making something really special, something that really gelled with the hard rock AOR crowd, the crowds that they'd helped build over the last few years by relentless touring, and gave the world something they didn't know they needed. Even the second side with Passage to Bangkok, talking about pot, Twilight Zone, Tears, Something for Nothing. They're doing something other people can't do, or at least they won't do. And maybe that's to their benefit. But Rush pushed themselves, pushed their own boundaries, that pushed the boundaries of what rock could be. Generally, the English bands are the progressive rock bands because they are so well educated. The classical education informs them, informs their playing, informs their opinions. And it's why the Genesis, the Pink Floyds, the King Crimsons, the Yeses of the world could do all that amazing stuff they did. On this side of the pond, it's more straight ahead 12-bar blues. But Rush wasn't down for that. Yeah, they could play it, but it's not what turned them on. And this kind of exploration and experiment, and Neil's synthesizing the story of an Ayn Rand novel or novella into this composition, well, were the Eagles doing that? Were their buddies Kiss doing that? No, I don't think so. It's what made them special, and it set them up for success, which continues to this day, as Jackson and I will be traveling to see the reformed Rush with Annika Nils here this summer. We can't wait, and you better believe we're going to talk about that once it happens. And we want to know, folks, did we get something right? Did we get something wrong? Did we miss the point? Did we leave out your favorite part? Email us and let us know. It's uglyamericανwerewolf@gmail.com. You let us know the bands, the albums, tours, concerts, DVDs, books, the rock properties you want to hear us talk about here on the show. We need you to download and subscribe wherever you get your shows. Doesn't matter where. But if you really want to help us out, please go give us a 5-star review. It just means the world to us. It helps us find more rock and rollers like you. And if you send it our way, we might just read it on an episode. Thanks as always to Pantheon Podcast for making us part of the family. And thanks to our sponsor, rarevinyl.com, where if you use the code UGLY, you can save 10% off one entire order. That's it for this week. We have some fun live shows coming up. We have some fun interviews coming up. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up, so you're going to have to stay tuned. Until next time, to all you rockers all around the world, be cool and keep doing what you do to keep rock alive.